I believe we are live. So what's going on, guys? I'm Chris, obviously, and this is Film Stock. So thank you guys for joining. If you're watching, definitely hit the like button, and you can go ahead and start dropping your questions in the chat. I'll be here for a while. I don't have anything going on tonight, so it should be a fun time. Trevor from Film Geeks was originally going to join me. As you guys probably saw, there was like a thumbnail up with him in it originally, but he's not here now. He couldn't make it, unfortunately, but he did leave me some questions, so I'm going to start off with those. I typed them in the banner, so I'll go ahead and show y'all. So the first one he asks is Tarantino or Scorsese? So, we have 6 people watching. What's up, guys? Definitely hit that like button and just keep dropping your questions because I love going live, and I think you guys have fun. I like to engage with the audience, so yeah, just definitely drop your questions. So Trevor asks Tarantino or Scorsese. I have to go Tarantino for sure. He makes, he just made Pulp Fiction, Django, Inglourious Bastards, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So he's probably my favorite filmmaker working today. Well, we have 12 people watching, guys. So definitely hit the like button if you just joined and go ahead and start dropping your questions. But as I was saying, Trevor from Film Geeks was originally going to join me. He didn't make it. So I'm going to go ahead and answer some of his questions. Tarantino or Scorsese? I'd go Tarantino, favorite filmmaker working today. He's the better screenwriter, but Scorsese has a lot of classics. Trevor also asks, a movie you didn't/don't want to have a sequel. I think Inception is the clear answer here. All right, the live chat. We've got a bunch of people. Certain Vids, what's up, man? Pumped and ready to go. Yep, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for joining, of course, as always. AJ Reacts 2, what's going on? Glad to have you here, man. Max Talks Movies, a loyal subscriber of mine. Thank you for joining, dude. The List Maker, thanks for coming. Luke Reviews also here. Top 5 Pixar. So I'll go ahead and start answering these questions, and I'll just throw in some of Trevor's questions throughout the live stream. But top 5 Pixar for me, I'm going to go in no order. I have a ranking of my top 10 Pixar, but in no order, I'll go, this is tough. I'll go Ratatouille, Up, Toy Story 3, Toy Story, and then I would say Toy Story 2, but I want to spice it up. I'll say The Incredibles, but I love Finding Nemo. That's a great one. The List Maker, best PTA film. So PTA is an interesting filmmaker for me. He's not my favorite, and I know a lot of people love him, and I totally get that. I totally get it. But for me, my favorite, or the best PTA movie, in my opinion, is Punch Drunk Love with Adam Sandler. I just watched that one for the first time recently. Absolutely loved it. It was quick and easy, unlike the other 2 movies I'd seen from him that are just really long and drawn out, in my opinion. Again, I don't hate him, but he's a great filmmaker, by any means. He's just not one of my favorites. So I'd go Punch Drunk Love. Max Talks Movies. Whiplash is one of my favorites. Awesome, dude. Whiplash, it's my favorite movie of all time at the moment. I think that J.K. Simmons is stellar. Gives one of the best performances cinema has ever seen, honestly. Movie Files in here. Elliot, hey, what's going on, man? Thank you for joining. Thanks. Matt Klug, one of my good friends, is in here. Let's go. Thank you for joining, man. Luke Reviews, no Cars. Yeah, I mean, Cars is fine. The first one especially. 2 is not that great. I haven't seen it in years. And then have not seen Cars 3. One of the 2 Pixar movies I haven't seen, by the way. So that's interesting. Certain Vids asks, thank you for asking, by the way, worst action franchise. So there's a lot of action franchises that are kind of mediocre. It just popped in my head. The answer I'd give is the G.I. Joe franchise. It only has 2 movies. But I would say that that's just really below average. The first one, it's not good at all. It has Channing Tatum, and I think Marlon Wayans is in it. But I've only seen it one time. But the second one has The Rock, and Bruce Willis is in there for no reason. So that's interesting. We have 11 people watching right now, guys. So if you're watching, definitely hit the like button, and I'll be here for a while. I have nothing going on, so just keep dropping your questions. I'd love it. I think these are a ton of fun right now, especially with what's going on in the world. And I did want to address that real quick, everyone watching. I'm going to read something off my phone that I had a screenshot of. So I'll just preface it by saying what's going on right now is awful. And I think that, I have a movie channel, so it's all about movies, but I think that I should address it because it's an elephant in the room, and it's something that needs to be talked about, in my opinion. So I'll go ahead and just so Kirby Smart, he's the head coach of the Georgia football team. Highly admire him, and he put out a post on Twitter. He said, "Just my thoughts. I firmly stand against racism of all kinds. I realize that I feel this differently, but I am hurting for the young black men on my team. I am hurting for the black men on our staff. I cannot imagine the agony, grief, and fear that our black communities feel today and every other day. I do not have the answers, but I am committed to moving with purpose and being part of the solutions. We have to make a change. We have to be better. And you can basically take what he said word for word and apply that to what's going on in the United States right now, because I completely agree. There's got to be change. I don't have all the answers, but something's got to give. And I think that we all just need to sit down and watch Remember the Titans as a country, because that's a really powerful movie. And I really think that could act as a unifying force. But yeah, I just wanted to get that off my chest before I keep going, because it felt like the right thing to do. This is a movie channel, so I'll continue asking movie questions, but sometimes you got to talk about the real world, you know? So Matt Klug asks, thank you guys for watching, by the way, and keep dropping your questions down below. I love doing this. Best movie you ever watched in class or for a class? So I have a clear answer for this, and it's Castaway, starring Tom Hanks. I was in health class, I want to say, 9th grade year health class. And Coach Welsh showed us this movie, and I loved it. I think Tom Hanks gives one of the best performances ever, honestly. I really wish he would have won the Oscar, but I know that was 2000, I want to say. So I think Russell Crowe won for Gladiator. But that's a phenomenal movie, and I need to rewatch that, especially with all this quarantine stuff still going on. So it's kind of relevant. PTA is my Lord and Savior. Yeah, I mean, he's good, but I think he's a little overrated. I still like him. Movie Files, thanks for asking a question. Your favorite up-and-coming actor/actresses? So these two actors are going to be competing for Oscars for years to come. Timothy Chalamet and Lucas Hedges. I mean, the battles they're going to have at the Oscars in future years is just crazy. They've both already been nominated for Oscars, and they're in their 20s, early 20s too. So these are probably my favorite actors. Upcoming actresses, Ana de Armas. She's fantastic in Knives Out. Can't wait to see what she does in No Time to Die. The List Maker. Favorite Leonardo DiCaprio role. So he's probably one of my favorite actors. I have a few. I'd say his best performance is The Wolf of Wall Street, easily. But I'd say my favorite role of his is Rick Dalton in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I really love that character. He's so quotable, too. That's like another thing. Anytime that you pair Tarantino with Leo, you're going to get an iconic character who has a lot of quotes. And I think that's why it's probably my favorite Leo role. He's great in The Departed, though. He's in literally like every great movie. So it's really hard to pick and choose there. Luke Reviews. Favorite action sequence in any film and favorite fight scene? So that's a really that's a hard question. There's a lot of great action scenes. I'll tackle the superhero genre first. I'd say the final fight in Endgame and the final battles on Wakanda and Titan and Infinity War, amazing. So I'll just go with that. But I really do like in Skyfall, in the recent James Bond, not Spectre, Skyfall. So 2 James Bond movies ago. There's a scene towards the end where he's at that house. That is really well done action. And of course, the Mission Impossible movies have great action scenes. Actually, Fallout, like the whole last act of Fallout, everything involving the helicopters, insane. Favorite Shrek 2 supporting character has to be Puss in Boots. He's introduced here, and I really love him. Max, you actually know this. I just watched this movie for the first time recently, which is insane, I know. But yeah, I'd have to go Puss in Boots because it's like his intro movie, and he's one of the most iconic Shrek characters. Also, if you guys have just joined, be sure to like this, and I'm going to be here for a while, so definitely keep dropping the questions because I absolutely love this. So it's a lot of fun for me, and thank you guys for watching and supporting the channel. Certain Vids, least favorite pre-Renaissance Disney film. So I've been asked this question before, but off the top of my head, I have to go with The Jungle Book. I think it came out in 1967, I want to say, and I've seen that movie probably 10 times. Like literally, I love that movie to death. The Bare Necessities, literally, I think that's my favorite Disney song. It might not be my number one, but it's definitely up there because it's just like, look for the bare necessities. Really applicable because just take it easy, look for the simple things in life, and just be thankful for what you have. I think it's a very relevant song, especially in the world we live in today. Eli Taylor, thank you for watching, Eli. Have you seen Community? I have not. I've heard great things, literally nothing but great things about it. So I might need to get on that. Let me know, Eli, if you've watched it, what you think of it, because I'd be interested to hear. Kirby typed that in a note on his phone, not some graphic that people wanted to see. Type it himself, screenshot, and posted straight from the heart. Yes, Kirby Smart is a great man, and I'm really proud of him for posting that. I think it's necessary, and I think it was a good move all around. Max talks movies. With my question earlier, I meant top 10 movies of 2014. I already know Whiplash will be your number one. Yeah. So off the top of my head, it's hard to give my 10 favorite movies from that year because it's kind of on the spot, Max. But maybe I'll do a list one day. But I'll go ahead and say Birdman, phenomenal. Nightcrawler, obviously great. The Winter Soldier, arguably the best MCU movie. I know it's a lot of people's number one. And Guardians came out that year. So I know that's like objectively might be the best year for the MCU. Who knows? But that was a really, really solid year. I'm probably missing a ton of stuff just because it's off the top of my head. I think Gone Girl by David Fincher was that year too. So yeah. Max talks movies. Does this mean a Remember the Titans watch party? Perhaps. It's my favorite sports movie of all time, and that might be necessary, honestly. So that's a good idea, Max. That's a good idea. Certain Vids asks, underrated actor / actress you wish would get work in bigger properties. Florence Pugh. And I know that's kind of like, oh, she's going to be in Black Widow, but she's really been in a lot of smaller things. Little Woman, a great movie. A lot of people in the film community love it, including myself. But I would love to see her take on like maybe another franchise role. Like maybe if Black Widow could start that side of her career, she could do like One for Me, One for You, where she does like, you know, an MCU movie, maybe even goes into the Star Wars universe, or she tackles another action movie. And then she can keep doing those like Oscar movies where she can get a nomination. Because she's phenomenal. I really do. I love her work. Can't wait to see what she does next. Matt Klug. Watched Castaway in that class too. I loved watching SEAL Team 6 in Clayton's class. Dude, Clayton was one of the best teachers ever. I love him. I miss him. And yeah, Castaway in that class. What a great movie. I'm so glad that he showed it. Max talks movies. Who should play the new Bond after Daniel Craig? That's a great question. And I think that if he wasn't already Superman, I would say Henry Cavill could do it. I know that if you guys have seen the movie The Man from U.N.C.L.E., it's kind of a spy movie by Guy Ritchie based on an older TV show from the 60s, I want to say. But he's really great in that movie. I'm pretty sure that's what got him the role in Mission Impossible Fallout, where he's kind of like in a spy movie. So I'd love to see Henry Cavill take on the role of James Bond. But Idris Elba is not a bad pick either. He's a phenomenal actor. I would love to see his take on it. So maybe Idris Elba. Certain Vids, thanks for the question. You're killing it right now, man. Thank you. Favorite scene / quote from a movie that you don't really like? That's a great question. So favorite scene or quote from a movie I don't really like. I don't really like Suicide Squad at all. It's actually probably my least favorite movie. But this isn't really a scene or quote either. But I think it has the best trailer we've seen in recent years. I think they used Bohemian Rhapsody in that trailer, and it was crafted to make the movie look like almost like it was going to be something else, like the darker DC version of Guardians of the Galaxy. So, I mean, it got me so hype, and that was the most let down I've ever been by a movie. I know there's fans out there of Suicide Squad, but that's just like, I'm going to twist the question a little certain, and that's how I'll answer it. But it was a great question, man. Matt Klug, favorite sports movie? So it's got to be Remember the Titans, like I said earlier. Phenomenal movie. But Miracle, starring Kurt Russell, 2004 movie, a great one. Super inspirational movie. If you need to like a pick me up or anything, I'd go with Miracle. But to tie into this question, Rocky is also a great movie. So favorite Rocky sequel? Not counting Creed, I would have to say, off the top of my head, I probably would say, I'd probably go Rocky 2, just because that end fight scene, man, it is so good to just see Rocky finally win. It's the perfect like bounce back story. You know, in the first one, if you've seen Rocky, he like loses the fight, but he, you know, gains something as a person. And then in the second one, you see the aftermath of that. And then he finally gets another shot at Apollo Creed. And I'm getting chills right now thinking about it. So I would have to go Rocky 2. But I love all the Rocky sequels except Rocky 5. That movie's a drag, really hard to get through. AJ Reacts too. Thank you so much for dropping a question, AJ. What's your favorite science fiction franchise besides Star Wars? So I would go with, and these are recent watches for me. I would have to say Alien, and I've only seen the first two. Alien and Aliens, both phenomenal movies, like some of the best of their genre, because the first one is like sci-fi horror, blends it perfectly. I think it might be Ridley Scott's best movie. And then the second one is like straight up sci-fi action. You've got like a ton of xenomorphs, and you've got Bill Paxton, so you can't go wrong there. But it's more of an action movie, I think, and James Cameron directed it, so you cannot go wrong there. I'd go with Aliens off the top of my head. Have you watched the film recommendation? Yes, I have. The Invisible Man. And this was also one of Trevor's questions, by the way, who couldn't make the stream he was originally going to, but he left some questions. One of them was thoughts on The Invisible Man. Absolutely loved it. I think Leigh Whannell is one of the most underrated filmmakers working today. He basically got his start back when he co-wrote Saw, which is a phenomenal movie, by the way. I've said phenomenal like 30 times already, so I probably need to change my vocabulary around a little, but it really is a great movie. He wrote that, has one of the best twists. I recently watched Upgrade, which he directed, a really solid recent action movie from this past decade. And then The Invisible Man, fantastic movie. I think Elizabeth Moss is easily the front runner for Best Actress at the moment. I wonder if she will get a nomination. I know the Academy is not very fond of horror for some reason. I would love to see it though. But yes, I really liked it. It had some twists and turns I didn't see coming. For my in-depth thoughts, you can check out my Letterboxd. You can look me up, Film Stalked. My name, Chris, will pop up. And yeah, that's that. Movie Files, thank you for asking a question. Would you ever want to see a Bond TV series showing him becoming a 007 and getting into the spy program? That's a great idea. I don't think I've really heard that, but I would be totally down. I don't like on a streaming service, maybe like 8 episodes, I'd be totally down for that. And that reminds me of the show The Bodyguard. I've seen like the trailers for it and promotional images. I haven't watched the show, but Richard Madden might be the guy to play Bond next. I just to bring it back to the earlier question, that might be a good pick there. Gavin likes movies. Favorite slasher? Mine is Child's Play. I would have to say Halloween 1978. I think it's a classic for the genre, and the John Carpenter direction and the score, phenomenal. One of the best scores in a horror movie. Certain we should do a Remember the Titans watch party. Yeah, I'd be down for sure. That's one of my favorite movies ever. So yeah, I'd be down. Luke reviews, overrated movies in your opinion that would be considered unpopular opinions. The hottest take I have regarding movies is Mad Max Fury Road. I think it's the most overrated movie probably that I've ever seen. And Andy, who's working right now, I think he's listening though, absolutely loves this movie. We put out a video on the channel, a debate video about it. We just disagree on that movie. I think that it's pure action, which is awesome. Beautiful movie, like visually stunning for sure. George Miller's a great director, but the story and like the plot didn't do much for me. Immortan Joe, kind of a useless villain, really, and it was kind of weird for the sake of being weird. I totally get the aesthetic they were going for, but I didn't really feel like there was a lot of characterization for Furiosa or Max. And even though there are some sentimental scenes where like Max goes, or Furiosa I think it's like called the Greenlands, and she sees like her old family in a way, like really just great friends, I think, and like her old group. I don't know if I think they could have tackled that movie so much better if they had gone the route of like really developing an in-depth storyline, blending that with the stunning action. Then I think that it would be able to be deemed a masterpiece. But for what it is, I find it highly overrated. Not a movie question, but for defending Jacobs fans, did he do it? So I don't want to spoil it, but perhaps. I'll say perhaps. Ryan O'Toole, thank you so much for joining, man. I watched your live stream earlier. It was great stuff. Hey, man, your picks for underrated MCU characters. So this is literally, I think this is my answer for like everything underrated MCU, but Ant-Man, I know that he has like a lot of people that love him. Who doesn't like Paul Rudd, right? But he's really a great character who's got a lot of depth to him when you look at his relationship with his daughter, his relationship with Hank and Hope. It's really great stuff, especially in Endgame, that scene where he has to like look for his daughter's name on the memorial of who got snapped away. It's really great stuff, pulls at the heartstrings. But another underrated character who isn't used properly, in my opinion, is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But I think that they will get their proper treatment in the TV show. I cannot wait for that. Hopefully later this year. We'll have to see. All right, I'm going to look for some more questions. Most let down you've ever been by a movie. So that's a great question, Matt. I would have to say, that's a really good question. I was super let down by Suicide Squad, like I said earlier in the stream, because the trailer was awesome. But I would say recently I was... I'm dumb. The Last Jedi. And I know this is like the most controversial movie in the YouTube community, but Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker did not care for at all. Still love The Force Awakens, but I think those two movies are a representation of a trilogy that had no trajectory, in my opinion, no clear plan. I know people love The Last Jedi. Totally fine if you do. I'm not taking shots at you, but that trilogy as a whole was just such a letdown to me as someone wit didn't feel like Star Wars, you know? Max Talks Movies. Have you seen Warrior 2011? I've seen Warrior once, and this was probably back in 2013, so it's been a long time. And I know that like Sean Chandler loves it. Everyone really loves it. I really liked the movie. It actually brought me to tears because I have an older brother, and that brother relationship between Tom Hardy's character and Joel Edgerton's character was great. And how they have to fight each other and all that. It's a really great motivational sports movie. And I think Nick Nolte was awesome. I believe he got an Oscar nomination. So that's a great movie. I need to go back and revisit it soon. We have 13 people watching, guys. So if you're watching, definitely hit that like button. It would help out with the algorithm. And keep on asking those questions because I'm having a ton of fun. Jaron Talks Movies. What is up, man? Glad to see you here. It's all good. I had work today too, so I totally feel you. How you been? I've been good. Having a good time right now. I really do enjoy Q&As there. It's just a ton of fun for me. I don't do them much, but I'm going to start doing them more. Movie Files. Would you rather see a sequel made by your favorite director and your favorite movie of theirs, or an original movie by them? It depends. Like, I would rather see Tarantino tackle something completely new and original because I think that his brain is just like, I want to see what he's got in there because he has so many fantastic ideas. Would I love to see a sequel to Django, though? Of course. But that's just an example, right? Obviously. But Tarantino, I would love to see him do something original as opposed to a sequel. Klug says, you just answered most letdown. So instead, I'll say, what movie were you not looking forward to but surprisingly loved? I did not want to go see Little Women in theaters. I love Lady Bird. I love Greta Gerwig, but for some reason it was like, I did want to see it, but I thought it might be kind of boring. It felt like it might have that period piece feel to it. I was totally wrong. I really love that movie. I think Saoirse Ronan's fantastic, and it actually made me cry in the theaters, if I'm being honest. I do cry during movies, believe it or not. Certain Vids, thanks for the question. What is the movie you have watched the most and how many times, if you can remember? So I'll be honest with you. I think I've been asked this before. It's right behind me there. The Star Wars, the original trilogy, countless times, dude. I had the VHS, the original theatrical, watched those all the time. Then I got the special edition DVDs, watched those all the time. And then I have the Blu-ray set. And of course, like the special edition DVD and the Blu-rays, they've been touched by George Lucas, sadly. So they're not the original movies that I remember watching on VHS. But I've seen them countless times. All of them 10, 15, 20 plus times. I really don't even know. I can't keep count. It's a great, great trilogy. Max Talks Movies. Favorite Mission Impossible film? Fallout. I think that it changed the game for action movies for years to come. Really riveting, and Tom Cruise can only go up from here. I know that he might want to go to space. Could we get a space movie in Mission Impossible? Let me know in the live chat. That'd be awesome. Jared Talks Movies. What's your favorite movie of 2020 so far? So for the longest time, it's been Onward. I really love Onward, but I recently just watched The Invisible Man for the first time, and that might be a contender. I'm going to have to let it sit for a little longer, but that could be my favorite. Max Talks Movies. Best movie you discovered in quarantine. So Max, as you know, I'm doing the 100 Movies I Missed project, so I have been watching a ton of those movies. I'd say that I didn't really discover these movies because I knew of their existence. But I finally saw Saving Private Ryan. I finally saw Alien and Aliens. Finally saw One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Those are all classics right there. And I'm so happy that I saw them because I love each and every one of them for different reasons. But it's really been a time for me to explore movies that have been on my watch list for a ton of time. I just get busy with new releases and new TV. So finally getting able to like sit down and watch these movies, it's been awesome. Good Time or Uncut Gems? Uncut Gems. Good Time is really solid, but Uncut Gems, Adam Sandler's performance, he was snubbed of an Oscar nom, so I'd have to go with that. Certain Vids. Thoughts on A Quiet Place? Are you excited for part 2? Oh yeah, I'm pumped out of my mind for part 2. A Quiet Place was like in my top 3, I think, of that year, 2018. I actually just remembered that it came out in 2018. For some reason, I was thinking 2017, but love that movie. The ending, I love. I don't care what anyone says. And that was one of my most anticipated movies for this year. So I'm really it's sad that it got delayed, but everything got delayed. So what can I really say? I'm really excited for that movie. Max talks movies. Any theories about MCU Phase 4? Yes, I think Deadpool will show up in a cameo in some way. So that's a little hint. I think Deadpool might make an appearance. Luke reviews. Have you seen Avatar: The Last Airbender? I have. I actually watched it live when it originally came on, and I loved it. I loved every episode. Haven't gone back and revisited it yet. I know it's on Netflix, so I probably need to do that. But yeah, I've seen Avatar. The movie, the Last Airbender movie by M. Night Shyamalan, is garbage, and I don't really want to talk about it, so I don't know why I brought it up. Max talks movies. What's a streaming service that doesn't get enough love? That's a great question, Max. I'd probably say Hulu. They've got a lot of original, they have a lot of great movies on there, and they have Drake and Josh. They have a lot of Nickelodeon stuff. So I'd say Hulu, and I know they're going to start having more like original content on there because they're kind of in association with Disney Plus. So I'd probably say Hulu. Max talks movies. Will you ever do another episode of movie debates? That's the plan. Yeah. If you guys would want to see that, I know that Andy and I disagree on Forrest Gump. Surprisingly, I won't tell you who. Actually, I will. I love it. He doesn't really care for it as much, but I want to do one on Forrest Gump. I want to do one on Wall-E. We're also split on that movie, so I'll go with those. Certain vids, best 4K transfer you've seen so far. Ford v Ferrari was stunning on 4K. The colors, the racing sequences look beautiful, so I'll go with that. That's also a really nice steelbook. That Psycho reviewer agrees with me on Mad Max Fury Road. Yeah, it's not all that in my opinion. Certain vids, thoughts on the rumor of Marvel splitting up Falcon and Winter Soldier into 2 3-episode parts so that it can still come out this summer. I absolutely love this idea. And the reason is the world is absolutely crazy right now. So we need some positivity. I know we're getting The Mandalorian season 2 this year, which I'm hyped for. But if they give us the first few episodes of Falcon and Winter Soldier, what you do is you hook everybody in, and then we have to wait a little longer to see the next part. So it's just like a new Marvel movie. So I'd totally be down for that. And I hope they do that because I need some new Marvel content. And I bet it would come out before Black Widow too. So yeah, the only issue is if they have like storylines that are touched on in a movie that was supposed to come out before it, like in Black Widow maybe. So who knows? I'm sure they can figure it all out. Who do you think would be a good director for MCU Blade? Great question. I think off the top of my head, if you want to go for that like kind of darker tone, that like vampire idea, you could get Guillermo del Toro in there. That might be a pretty interesting pick. Granted, I'm not like the craziest fan of him, but I think that he could do a great job for that universe. Thoughts on Ford v Ferrari? I think it's a massive crowd pleaser and one of the best movies from last year. Everyone can take something out of it. So if you haven't seen Ford v Ferrari, you should sit down and watch it. And I've said this before, a lot of people have. It is going to be the definitive dad movie of the decade. So like every Father's Day, your dad's probably going to be watching Ford v Ferrari. So yeah, great movie. Cam Silas, how you doing, Cam? Which Marvel TV show are you most excited and least excited for? Most excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier, mainly because we're finally getting what the people want. You know, they have such great chemistry, and I'm really happy that they're getting their own TV show. It took them long enough. I think one of them made a joke about that in an interview, but it took them long enough. Least excited for would be Loki. I think his character is done in Infinity War. I don't like what they're doing with like him being in an alternate universe. I think that they need to put that character to bed. Obviously, I love him and I love Tom Hiddleston, but it's got to go to rest at some point, you know. Certain vids, killing it with the questions, man. Thank you. Favorite crazy stunt Tom Cruise has done so far? It has to be Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol when he basically hangs off the Burj Khalifa. That is insane. And anytime I watch that movie, I'm kind of scared of heights, at least that high. Like my hands start to sweat, my feet start to sweat. I get like super anxious. So that would be my answer. It's phenomenally shot. One of the most breathtaking sequences in an action movie in recent years. I'm going to take a sip of water real quick, but Max Talks Movies has a good question. What's a movie you wanted to review last year but didn't get a chance to review? Great question. The Lighthouse I actually saw in theaters, but I never got the time to film a review. Jojo Rabbit I also saw. I have never given my thoughts on that on the channel, but I wish I got to review it. So there's a lot, Max, that I missed. It's unfortunate. I have Letterboxd reviews, though, so you can check it out there. Netflix or Hulu? Netflix, mainly because of the original content. I mean, if you have Stranger Things, I mean, and Ozark. I mean, come on. Those are two of the best shows on TV, and Netflix has them both. I'd have to go Netflix. What do you think about the ending of The Invisible Man? Spoiler-filled answer, please. I can message you on Instagram, AJ, about like my spoiler thoughts because I don't want to ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it. But it was insane, dude, and Lee Winnell knows how to end a movie. He really does. It's a great movie. So if you haven't seen The Invisible Man, check it out. Also, if you're still watching, thank you guys so much for the support. It really does mean a lot. I love doing these live streams. I'm going to continue to do them every week, I believe. So consider hitting the like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And definitely keep dropping your questions. I'll be here for a while. This is a lot of fun for me. That Psycho Viewer might just be a me thing, but the Marvel TV show I personally look forward to the most is Moon Knight. I think it can be very different from what we've seen in the MCU so far. Yes, I don't know much about the character of Moon Knight, actually, which is unfortunate. I would love to learn more, and I know I will in the TV show. So I'm excited to check that one out. I just don't know a lot about the character, so I can't really speak to it that much yet. But yeah, I'm excited for every TV show. Even Loki, like I said, it's Marvel, and it's the MCU, so what's not to love, you know? I love it. I'm excited. Movie Files, thank you for another question, man. If you could only have one to pick from, watch your favorite movie for the rest of time or favorite season of your favorite show. So this is a double-edged sword because with a movie, you only get 2 to 3 hours. And favorite season, you could pick like 8 to 10 episodes, depending on the show, even 20. So that's a great question. I might have to go with Breaking Bad season 5, though, because you get 13 episodes. I believe it's 13. And it's different. It's not like you're going to be, you're watching the same thing every 2 hours, you know? So I would go with that because of the variety. Cars or season 5 of Friends? I'm not a Friends guy, so I'd go with Cars. Have you watched the regular show? It's so good. I have not. I have heard good things, though. Thank you for the question, by the way. Speaking of Deadpool, thoughts on him taking the Stan Lee role as cameos in the future MCU films before he gets his standalone film? I dig this idea, but something I would rather see, Movie Files, Elliot, I would rather see Robert Downey Jr., like obviously not Tony Stark / Iron Man, but just like in some stupid like get up, some makeup or something, just in the background maybe. I would love to see him because he kind of like fathered the MCU. He was the first, Iron Man was the first movie. He was the first character that we fell in love with in the MCU. So I would love to see Robert Downey Jr. Helm the cameo role. I'd be down for a movie debate. Yeah, friendly for sure. We don't get too heated, but yeah, I would as well. Those are a lot of fun. WALL-E is not the best Pixar movie. I respect your opinion, but it's just not. Let's see. I'm gonna look for worst performance in a good movie. So that's a good question that I don't have the answer for off the top of my head, but it just popped into my head. See, you think for a second and something pops into your head. I don't know the actress's name, but I'd say in The Shining, whoever plays Wendy is extremely irritating, and maybe that was on purpose. You can interpret that however you want, but I think she got a Razzie nomination, which is like for the worst performances of the year, because she's just like screaming the whole time, really crazy. I don't know if it's necessary for her character, so I'd go with her. Favorite MCU cast member? I absolutely love Robert Downey Jr. I think he's hilarious, so I'd go with him. But I like Chris Evans a lot too. He's really great, especially seeing him in like Defending Jacob or Knives Out. He's awesome. That's Psycho Reviewer. Do you think Falcon as Captain America will have a movie at any point? Oh, the Falcon and Captain America. Do I think they'll have a movie? Perhaps. Anything's possible. I think maybe they'll get a few seasons of the show, and then I think they'll show up in like the next big collab movie, like Avengers 4, or sorry, not Avengers 4, Avengers 5. I usually think of, no, it is. See, I count Infinity War and Endgame as one movie in my head, so that's why I'm tripping on my words. But yes, I think they'll show up in a movie. I don't think they'll get a solo movie. Least favorite part of Endgame. My least favorite part of Endgame is probably in the second act when the time traveling's happening. It's super cool, but sometimes it can drag a little with certain, like with Thanos, when it shows 2014 Thanos figuring everything out. Those scenes always kind of bored me because like it's the least interesting stuff. You aren't excited for Loki? Do you mean to break up? Maybe. I'm just kidding. No. I'm excited for Loki. It's just not my most anticipated. Besides Star Wars, what's the movie that you've bought the most? Did you mean watched? I'll assume you meant watched, Max. So I'll go with that's a great question. I honestly, anytime Remember the Titans is on TV, I watch it. I watch a lot of the MCU movies like on a loop. So I've seen like Iron Man. I remember in 4th grade, I watched Iron Man, the first Iron Man, 4 days in a row or 3 days in a row. Like after school, I would come home, put in the DVD for Iron Man, watch it, and then I'd repeat the same thing the next day. So I'd go with that. But I've seen The Lion King like 30 times probably. So I mean, there's a lot of movies I love to rewatch. Andy is here, guys, by the way. Great to see you, Andy. I know you're working right now, so you couldn't make it. But I run this channel with him. He says Hulu personally has way better shows like Family Guy, Drake and Josh, but Netflix has great movies. That's a great point. Drake and Josh might be the funniest show ever, like because it applies to kids, but also I watch it now and I get a good laugh out of it. I mean, Crazy Steve's hilarious, so you make some good points there. All right, we've got some more questions coming in, so I'm going to answer them here. All right. Do you think Space Jam 2 will be good? I mean, it's hard to say. Can LeBron really act? I don't know. Is Space Jam 1 even a good movie? I really don't know. It's very, very tough. Ryan McDaniel, good to see you here, man. I'm glad you're here. Best Nick Cage quote, think carefully because there's only one right answer. Let me take a sip of water so that I don't completely butcher this. I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence. Hopefully that was good enough for you. Hopefully you got a laugh out of that, but it has to be that. He's a national treasure in and of himself. The List Maker. Have you seen Avatar: The Last Airbender? I actually answered the question earlier. I have. I watched it when it aired live. I might rewatch it. Who knows? Matt Klug. Movies aside, Disney or Nickelodeon as a kid? Shows like Hannah Montana and Wizards of Waverly Place versus shows like Drake and Josh and iCarly. That might be the hardest question I've ever gotten on one of these live streams. Really hard. I'd have to go Nickelodeon because Drake and Josh, iCarly, they had Big Time Rush, Victorious. Those were all really good. And Disney did have The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and Even Stevens. So, I mean, honestly, Matt, I'd probably have to flip a coin. Oh, favorite Cuarn movie that you've seen? Prisoners of Azkaban doesn't count. I don't think I can answer this question. I've never talked about Alfonso Cuarón on the channel, but he's probably arguably the most overrated filmmaker working today. Genuinely, I think Roma is extremely boring. I don't know how it got love from the Academy. I haven't seen Gravity. I heard it's a technical masterpiece, but I haven't seen it. And there's another one, Children of Men, one of the most overrated movies of all time. People analyze the hell out of that movie. Good on them. It just genuinely, I don't know how you can make a movie that's shorter than 2 hours so boring. And yeah, Cuarón, though, he knows how to direct a movie, but I don't like it. I just don't like his style. And you know that, Ryan. Okay, here's my view on Space Jam 2. While I don't think it's going to be a masterpiece or anything, I don't know. I don't think Space Jam's really a movie that can be ruined because like it has a cult following. Really, it's not like a fantastic movie in my opinion. Only seen it a few times. Didn't grow up with it. So maybe I don't know if it can be ruined though. Max talks movies. Favorite 5th movie in a franchise? Empire Strikes Back doesn't count. So let me think. Pirates 5, obviously not. Transformers 5, obviously not. Fast 5, maybe, but I don't really love that franchise, so that's kind of like a cop-out answer. That's a really good question. I guess I'd go Fast 5 that I can think of. I'm probably forgetting some. Let's, if you want to say X-Men, let's see. There's X-Men, X-Men 2, Last Stand, and then there's Origins, and then after that was First Class. So I'd go First Class. First Class is a solid one. Best deal you've ever gotten on a Blu-ray or 4K? Let me look real quick because it'll come to my head. So I got the what did I get? I got the Lord of the Rings trilogy on Blu-ray, theatrical edition. I think it was $10. So you can't really beat that. It's 3 movies, 3 of the best movies ever, one of the best trilogies for $10 on Blu-ray. I mean, I'll take it. But then again, I've had some good deals at FYE. Like I think I found they have like the 3 for $20. So I got like The Departed, The Big Lebowski, and The Braveheart, all like on one trip for like $20. Can't beat that. That's cheaper than like a new release Blu-ray. So I mean, that's awesome. Max Talks Movies. Did you ever watch Disney Channel original movies? And if so, what's your favorite? Yes, of course I did. They were a critical, a key part of my childhood, if you want to say that. But my favorite was Minutemen with Jason Dolley and Nicholas Braun. Yes, I remember their names. Minutemen was a fantastic movie. It actually dealt with time travel and had like serious themes in it in a way. But some other ones, High School Musical, an absolute classic. Watched the first two, have not seen the third, but I would have to go with that. Least favorite film that isn't Suicide Squad. Well, I'm really going to be lying to you if I tell you certain vids because it is my least favorite movie. But let me think real quick. Least favorite movie that isn't Suicide Squad. I strongly dislike Dinner for Schmucks. I watched that movie recently, and it's a disgrace to Steve Carell's career, a disgrace to Paul Rudd's career, a disgrace to Zach Galifianakis' career. Anyone associated with that movie, it's really sad because the final product is a bland, boring comedy that it's really uninspired. So I don't. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I just really went in on that movie, but yeah, I don't care for that at all. We still have 12 people watching, guys, so definitely hit the like button and continue asking questions because I think we're all having a good time here. Let's see. Does a movie have to be entertaining to be good? No. And bear with me here, I'll give an explanation. Schindler's List is one of the best movies ever made. It's 3 hours and 15 minutes. It deals with ideas involving the Holocaust, and it's a really brutal watch. So like it's hard to get through because it deals with a lot of stuff. It's still a good movie. Is it entertaining? It still is entertaining in a way, but in a different kind of way because of the filmmaking aspects. It's not like you get these epic action sequences and it's like a normal 3-act structure where you have like, it builds up to a climax. It's not like that. So I guess yes and no. It's kind of a difficult question to answer, but also is a good question, Max. Have you watched baseball movies? If so, what's your favorite? I have seen baseball movies, and I think that I have it right here. Hold on. Ryan, if you're still in here, I know he loves this movie. But Moneyball, starring Brad Pitt, might be his best performance, even though he's Cliff Booth. But I think this movie is fantastic. Aaron Sorkin, probably the best screenwriter working today. The way he I don't know like the stats behind baseball. Like I follow baseball loosely, very, very loosely. I'll check on Twitter and stuff. But he makes it understandable to the common person. He does the same thing with Steve Jobs in The Social Network. It's just a really, really interesting movie. And I think that the scene, the montage where the A's, they go on their win streak, very well done. And how that all culminates is fantastic. AJ reacts to Mission Impossible 5 was great. I don't know if you thought of that when you were answering the question. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention it. The Macquarie films 5 and 6, both great. Can't wait to see what he does with 6 and 7. And of course, Ghost Protocol, like I said. But yeah. Just looking for the next question. Geek Out Cinema. I don't think I've seen you in one of these before, so thank you for joining. I'm a big fan of John Hughes films, and I watched Career Opportunities last night for the first time. I was pretty disappointed. I have not seen that. I've seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, obviously, The Breakfast Club, and John Hughes produced Home Alone. He didn't direct it, but I haven't seen 16 Candles, or I think he did Weird Science. I haven't seen those. I don't think I've even heard of Career Opportunities, but maybe I'll watch it one day. Who knows? The world works in mysterious ways. Robert Correa. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Have you ever heard of Cannibal Holocaust? If so, would you ever watch it? I have heard of it, and I will never watch it. I've heard it's one of the most graphic, disturbing movies ever. So yeah, I don't see myself watching it. What's your favorite movie musical? Singing in the Rain. I have the poster right over there. Really great movie. If Cam is still watching, I know she loves it. Also, La La Land is probably the best modern musical, but West Side Story is a really good one. I'm excited to see that remake. And then also Sound of Music, another great one. So I really do like the musical genre. I wish they would do more like La La Land, that have in-depth thoughts, ideas, but also great musical sequences. Max Talks Movies. Favorite and least favorite movie genre. Favorite would have to be comedy, and I enjoy all genres really, but comedy, I could throw on a comedy and just have a good time if it's well done. Least favorite, probably horror, but don't take that the wrong way. I love horror movies, but if it's like bad horror, I don't like it. And what I mean by that is if it's not like, if it's just like The Bye Bye Man, one of those movies that's just a throwaway, it's kind of stupid. But yeah, I'd go with that. Favorite Andrew Garfield performance? It has to be Hacksaw Ridge, right? I know you love this movie, certain, but Hacksaw Ridge, he's fantastic. And I know he got nominated for an Oscar as Desmond Doss. He's very heartbreaking in that movie. Also just very true to himself, his character. So I love seeing him in that movie. But he's really a good Spider-Man too. He's great in that. And my goodness, he's great in the Social Network. I wish that he got an Oscar nom. He might give the best performance in that movie, honestly. Max talks movies. Favorite Toy Story character? A lot of great characters in this franchise. I'd have to say Woody. He's classic, and you know, it's just Woody and Buzz. It has to be Woody and Buzz for me. Did you watch Camp Rock? Was always my personal favorite Disney Channel movie. I've seen Camp Rock, but I don't really remember it because I've only seen it once. I like the music though, because the Jonas Brothers are in it. So I listen to that soundtrack surprisingly more than you would think. Max talks movies. Thanks for the questions, man. Favorite Tom Cruise movie. So I'll give you one of his action movies, and I'll give you one of his like prestige pictures, as some would call him, like when he did like serious acting movies before he became the action star. Mission Impossible as a whole, probably my favorite. Like when I think of Tom Cruise, I think of Mission Impossible. But my favorite movie might be A Few Good Men. I think that the quote, you can't handle the truth. Phenomenal. Really just one of the best quotes ever. And that movie was on TV the other day. I had it on in the background. Yeah, this is my first live stream. Geek Out Cinema. Thank you so much for joining, man. Glad to see you here. Weird Science is great. Maybe I'll have to watch that one. I've heard it's like an 80s, right? 80s classic. So I probably should watch that. Have you ever watched The Thing from 1982? If so, what are your thoughts on it? Robert, I have not seen The Thing, but if you follow my Letterboxd or if you look through my channel, I'm doing something called the 100 Movies I Missed project, where basically I picked 100 movies at the start of the year and I'm going to watch them throughout the year. It's on that list, and I'm actually saving it for the month of October because I usually associate like horror movies with October because of Halloween. So I'm going to watch it this year for sure. So if you want, you can subscribe or follow me on Letterboxd at Filmstock. My name Chris will pop up, and you can check it out there. Geek Out Cinema. If you want to see good special effects on film, watch Cannibal Holocaust. That's brutal, man. I don't know if I can handle that, but yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know. It seems too disturbing for my taste. Most controversial Spider-Man opinion. All right, here's the truth on my thoughts on Spider-Man. I love Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, but I think that Spider-Man, the original, is the best film from the trilogy and the most rewatchable. I think Spider-Man 2, slightly overhyped. Fantastic movie. Doc Ock's a great villain. I just don't see the overwhelming hype for it. Like some people claim it's the best superhero movie so far, like since 2000. I disagree. It's a great movie, but I prefer Spider-Man. So that's the most controversial one I can think of off the top of my head. Max talks movies. Will you ever watch Shrek 3 and 4? Probably not. Maybe if I do like a tier ranking of Shrek one day for some reason, I'll watch them, but I don't want to ruin the first two because I think that Shrek 2, which everyone knows, I recently watched that, is so good. And Shrek is like a classic, no doubt. It won Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. The original Shrek did. So I don't see myself watching the 3 and 4. I don't want to ruin them. Favorite basketball movie. So hold on one second. My favorite basketball movie is probably Hoosiers. I have it back behind me somewhere. It stars Gene Hackman and it stars Dennis Hopper. Really great movie. One of the classic sports movies everyone should watch at some point in their life. I love it. Favorite documentary. I'll go with the recent one, Free Solo. It got nominated. I think it might have won Best Documentary feature length, I think is what the category is, or live action doc. Sorry. I think it won a few years ago. Really just like intense. You're on the edge of your seat. It feels like this guy could literally fall. He's free soloing like the side of a massive cliff. So it's crazy movie or documentary. Same thing. Thoughts on Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh, if you watched it? I've seen it a few times. I'm pretty sure that Josh Peck or Josh is in prison or breaks someone out of prison. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like that movie's bizarre. I really enjoy it. I know that there's like fake snow at the end, so it puts a smile on my face. I love seeing Drake and Josh on the screen anytime I can. Shrek 4 is fine. Yeah, I've heard that like 3 and 4 are super mediocre, so I don't know if I'll ever watch them. Matt Klug says, thoughts on Coach Carter. See, that's another basketball movie that I forgot about for a second. So that's one of the better ones. I think Samuel L. Jackson is really good in it, and I think that movie is important to watch. Channing Tatum's in it too, and he's like, it's like one of his first roles. So seeing him play like a character that's just like not what he was typecast as in the future, it's very, very bizarre in a way. But Coach Carter is a great movie. I like the scene where one of the guys, can't think of his name off the top of my head, is having to run like a ton of suicides and do push-ups because he like disrespected the coach or something. So he had to come back, and the whole team starts doing them with him, and they start counting. And that scene right there gives me chills because it really touches on teamwork. And I think it's a great movie for like sports teams to sit down and watch. And it also deals with racial themes, which is very relevant to what's going on in the world today. Who's your favorite comedian who has passed away? I'd have to say probably either John Belushi, because he's real. I mean, I've only seen Animal House and like his SNL stuff, but he was hilarious. So funny. Just really a charismatic guy. But besides that, I'd probably say Robin Williams. Just really, really gut-wrenching when he passed away. It really, really affected everybody, I think. His role as the genie was just so iconic, and even his serious role in Good Will Hunting, he was so funny in that movie. There's that scene where he's improvising, talking about the girl, and like the lines he says are just so funny. You can actually see the camera shaking because he's laughing so hard because he's improving. But just such like a motivational person, gone too soon, and I'll always cherish his works. Max Talks Movies. What's a category that the Oscars should add? I've heard this asked a lot. I really do think ensemble cast would be a good one to add because it's super cool. I think they already have that at like the BAFTAs or something like that, British Film Awards. I can't think of the acronym right now, but ensemble would be cool because then maybe the Marvel movies could get nominated and stuff like that. A Little Woman would have got nominated for that. So yeah, Knives Out, stuff like that would get nominated for that category, and that would be awesome. Max Talks Movies. Have you seen Jingle All the Way? I have not. Is that Arnold? Let me know if that's Arnold Schwarzenegger. AJ Rex 2, Shrek 4 really surprised me. I enjoyed it. Didn't care for 3. Yeah, I think I've heard that as well. Like, so maybe I will run like a poll and see, should I watch Shrek 3 and 4? Let me know. JK, thanks for joining, man. Favorite live stream you've done with me so far? My favorite one was probably like the first one because it was literally unplanned. Like, I literally just hopped on to YouTube and I saw certain vids and I was like, oh, maybe I'll just watch this. And then Trev joined and then I joined. That one was a ton of fun. Spur of the moment thing. And there was like a lot of people joined in and there was a lot of questions. So I'd say that one. It was also like the first time we all got together and collabed. So I'd go with that one. Have you ever heard of The Devil's Rejects? It's a Rob Zombie movie. Yes, I've heard of it. I have not seen a Rob Zombie movie. So yeah, sorry about that. What film so far this year do you think will win Best Picture? Very, very tough question because there's not a lot to pick from. Everything's been delayed and there just hasn't been like a large crop of movies to pick from. But I think I'd love to see The Gentleman get nominated for Best Picture, and I'd love to see The Invisible Man get a Best Picture nomination. Heck, even Onward. I mean, right now there's not much. So, but I would love to see The Invisible Man win Best Picture. I think that would be insane for a horror movie directed by Leigh Whannell to win Best Picture. I would love it. I really would. Have you seen The Blues Brothers? No, but it's on my 100 movies list. I know it's got John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. I've seen parts of it. I know Carrie Fisher has a small role in it, so I've seen that part. But yeah, Blues Brothers is on my list. I think that was 1979, I want to say, or 78. So yeah, I will watch that, and you'll see my thoughts either on Letterboxd or in a future 100 movies update. Crazy fun fact I just found out about Drake and Josh Christmas movie. It was the third most viewed TV movie on cable behind High School Musical 2 and Wizards of Waverly Place the movie. I did not know that, but that's a very interesting fact because High School Musical 2 and the Wizards movie were like cultural events for like our age group growing up. But I would say, speaking of Drake and Josh movies, I have a vivid memory of recording this movie on a VHS. I had somewhere to be, and then I came home and I put in the VHS of Drake and Josh Go Hollywood. What a movie. I literally love that movie. I think I need to revisit it soon. I think it's the best Nickelodeon original movie, and it could be like the best thing we've seen from Drake and Josh, honestly. Ryan McDaniel, you know the questions to ask me, man, don't you? Besides Knives Out, what is your favorite Rian Johnson movie? Haven't seen Looper. The Last Jedi is not a good movie at all, in my opinion. I know that a lot of people love it, but on rewatch, it's just so evident that there was no trajectory for this trilogy, and it's very upsetting to me. And Brick, I don't understand how people like that movie. The dialogue is literally, I'm going to give you an example. It's like, you can't hear in between the line. Like, the people have memorized their dialogue to a T, and there's no space between characters talking for the audience to breathe at all. Has a very stupid twist to multiple twists that make no sense, and it's not set up. I don't know how people like that movie, honestly. Nothing against Rian Johnson. He did direct an episode of Breaking Bad. How much he had to do with that is up to you to decide, because Vince Gilligan really is like the creative director behind everything, and it's his vision. So Rian Johnson, Knives Out, he's on the path to redemption for me. I will say that. JK, when did you start getting into movies? For me, it's back when I started watching the MCU movies. I just got into more broad topics. Yeah. I've always loved movies. Grew up watching like the Lion King, the Star Wars movies. I've said multiple times are my major inspiration, especially the original trilogy. And then I got introduced to like Spielberg, like Raiders of the Lost Ark was one of the definitive movies that really showed me that there's more to movies, and I really love it. But I've said this before, also the Steve McQueen movies, like The Great Escape, Magnificent Seven, Bullet. I watched all those growing up, and those are like really great movies from the 60s. Everyone should watch, I think. So you should check out some Steve McQueen movies if you haven't. Max Talks Movies. I'm going to drink some water real quick, Max. What's a franchise with only one good movie? Some could argue Pirates of the Caribbean. I would hardcore disagree, though, because I think the trilogy is really good. Then 4 and 5 are weak, but some would argue that. But that's a tough one, man. I'm gonna think on that. I've only seen the first Saw movie. I've heard that 2 and 3 are good, but the rest are kind of bad. Yes, I have watched Saw, Ryan, if you're watching, and you can text me about it. It's a great movie. But yeah, I'll go with that right now. What is the worst injury you've ever had? I broke my finger in the 6th grade, so it's still kind of crooked. Do you think Marvel will ever get casting as good as Robert Downey Jr., as Tony Stark, and do you think it already happened? I think that if they cast John Krasinski and Emily Blunt as Mr. Fantastic and his wife, I think that's perfect right there. So if they do that, then they can nail it. Also, we've got 14 people watching. So if you're watching, guys, definitely like this. It'll help out in the YouTube algorithm, and continue to ask questions, because I'll be here until the questions run out. Basically, I have a lot of fun with this. Funniest line in a non-comedy movie? Great question. I'll have to think on that as well. So anything that Fletcher says in Whiplash is hilarious to me. I know that movie's not a comedy, but like I can't even repeat what he says because it's pretty hardcore stuff. But like the way he delivers it is just so absurd, it makes me laugh. It's kind of dark comedy in a way, and American Psycho as well. Hilarious, hilarious movie, and it's a dark comedy for sure, but like it's not a straight up comedy. Saw a rumor about a more mature Zoe 101 reboot coming. Thoughts? Would they bring back the original cast is the question I have. Because if they do that, and it's well written and well directed, I would not be opposed. And then if it went to like a streaming service, I would be down for it. I'd probably watch some episodes. But getting that cast, I think, is critical. A recast might not work for me. I think you'd have to bring back the original cast for sure. Certain Vids, thank you for sticking around, man. Director, you want to direct a Mandalorian episode that hasn't been announced already. So I know Robert Rodriguez, Peyton Reed, they're all doing one. Taika obviously directed one last season. I would love to see Tarantino direct an episode of The Mandalorian, because in and of itself, the show is a Western. It functions as a Western set in the Star Wars universe. And if he's very fond of the Western genre with Django and The Hateful Eight. So he knows that genre and he has his unique take. If he could tone it back with the explicatives in the dialogue, he could really probably write one of the best episodes of that show. And they're only like 30 or 40 minutes. So I think that Tarantino could definitely do that. I would love to see that for sure. Watch Silence of the Lambs. I've seen Silence of the Lambs more than once, actually. I think that Anthony Hopkins gives one of the best performances ever. And it's one of the few movies to win the Big Five Oscars. So yeah, that's a classic. And I have seen Zodiac, by the way. It's not my favorite. I think that it's a little overhyped and a little too long. I do want to revisit it though and see what my fresh thoughts are. What is the most pretentious movie that you've seen recently? I'd have to say The Lighthouse. I mean, that movie was unnecessary, and I just don't. Okay, let me just restart. Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson give really great performances, and I know that the whole idea of the movie is these two people are losing their sanity because they're stranded on this island, and a bunch of crazy stuff happens. But the plot is kind of non-existent, and I found it really pretentious in the end with its like hidden meanings. And like I looked it up and it was trying to talk about like Greek mythology and like you just have to read way too much into it. And I know you could say the same for like a Nolan movie, but he makes it more accessible to like the common audience as opposed to the Lighthouse, which is basically just an hour and a half of nonsense. That's just my opinion. What's a good movie with a third act you don't like? Mine is Looper. I love the first two acts, but I'm not a fan of the third act. Like I said earlier, I have not seen Looper, but off the top of my head, I'd say Wonder Woman. I really like Wonder Woman, but the third act definitely not as good as the first two when it kind of becomes the common like dark CGI DC fest in a way, like, you know, how they have been with like BVS's ending and stuff like that. So I would go with Wonder Woman right now. Do you have a favorite Breaking Bad episode or arc in the show? I do. My favorite episode is Felina, the series finale. Absolutely love. I'm a sucker for conclusions that are well done, and I think Breaking Bad did it perfectly. But Ozymandias and Face Off are really good too. So yeah, I'd go with that. Arc, I think I love. Walter White's arc might be the best in like media history, like film and television. So I'd say him. But Jesse might be my favorite character, honestly. So, yeah, Andy might be joining us in a minute, guys. We'll have to see. So I just got a text from him. So that might be cool. Bro, I agree. Pirates 1 through 3 are great. Fantastic movies. And the third one's like almost 3 hours long, unnecessarily so. But I still really like that trilogy. Sorry, guys. Andy's texting me real quick. He's going to ask some more questions. So that's awesome. Max Talks Movies. What's your favorite movie-related shirt or collectible? So my favorite movie-related shirt is probably, let's think. I had an Infinity War shirt that was so sick. It had like Thanos with the gauntlet and all of the Avengers on it, but it kind of shrunk when I washed it, so that was sad. Favorite collectible? I have like a lot of cool movie Funko Pops that are in my new background, so I like those a lot. And I like my Steelbooks. I think Steelbooks are collectibles, so I'll go with that. How many Tarantino movies have you seen? I've seen every Tarantino movie except with the I haven't seen Death Proof, and I haven't seen Kill Bill Volume 2. I've seen half of Kill Bill 1. I'm going to sit down and watch Kill Bill 1 and 2 at some point, and Death Proof, so I can say I've seen all of his movies. But from what I've seen, he's one of my favorite directors, if not my favorite. It's hard to argue. Geek Out Cinema. Thanks for sticking around, man. Have you seen Booksmart yet? I've seen it 3 times within the last 2 weeks. Kind of obsessed. If you like Superbad, you'll love it. Superbad is my favorite comedy of all time. So I haven't seen Booksmart. I've heard that analogy before. I've heard that it's very similar to Superbad. So maybe I will watch it. I believe it's on Amazon Prime, so I might check it out. Have you seen Holmes and Watson? Excited to know your thoughts, seeing that you love Step Brothers. I avoided this movie like the plague because I love Step Brothers. I love Talladega Nights. I think John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell are absolutely hilarious. But everyone I know, not even like hardcore movie fans who saw this movie, were saying like, dude, this movie sucks. Like, it's literally awful and not funny at all. And if everyone's saying that, I'm not going to spend my money to see it at the theaters. Maybe I'd watch it like one late night if it came to Netflix, but I have not seen it yet, certain. Fernando, hey, good to see you here, man. Thank you for joining. Have any exciting projects or plans we could look forward to in the future? So I have a collab coming with Nathan Jones. That should be in the next week or so. He's a great YouTuber in the space. And I think I'm going to continue doing these weekly live streams, 100 movies I missed updates, Blu-ray hauls. So yeah, that's what I've got on tap for now. That Psycho reviewer. Would you want Taika Waititi to direct a post-Endgame Avengers movie? Totally. Yeah, why not? If you mean like anything after, like, yeah, like Far From Home is the first one, but yeah, he's going to direct Thor: Love and Thunder. So maybe, yeah, I misinterpreted the question, but yeah. Tarantino Mandalorian episode would be so weird, but also good. Yeah, it'd be kind of weird in his style, but I'd dig it. Let's see. Favorite non-MCU Robert Downey Jr. performance. So Tropic Thunder. It has to be Tropic Thunder. He's literally hilarious in that movie, and he got an Oscar nomination for a reason. Like, in a comedy, you don't see actors get Oscar noms a lot, and that happened in that case because it's absolutely hilarious. Watch Tropic Thunder if you haven't. It has one of the best cameos ever. Won't spoil it for those who haven't seen it. Klug, thanks for sticking around, man. I really appreciate it. Random, but can you think of a movie that was rated the wrong way, like a PG-13 that should have been an R? Yes, I can. 1 second. So the movie, if I'm being honest here, the movie The Other Guys is rated PG-13. It's borderline, dude. Like, it should probably be rated R just because, like, there's some hardcore jokes that are like, they're really pushing it. The unrated version, obviously, R-rated content. I'd say the same for like Talladega Nights. Like, just make it R and then commit to it, because if you make it R, you're gonna lose a little bit of money because like kids in like middle school aren't gonna go have their parents drop them off and see it to buy a ticket. But you're gonna get a funnier movie most likely. So I would love to see like an R-rated, full-on R-rated version of those movies. I'd agree. Anything Wolverine related, probably rated R. That's why Logan was so badass. Favorite non-Pirates Johnny Depp performance. If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't think I've seen much of Johnny Depp outside of the Pirates universe. I have not seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Haven't seen Edward Scissorhands. Maybe I'll go with the movie Donnie Brasco. It stars Al Pacino. I've seen like most of it, like 3/4 of it. I've seen the end, but I'll go with that. It's very human performance. It's not like he's in eccentric makeup and like costume. He's not doing that in this movie, so I'll go with that one. Have you seen the Evil Dead trilogy? I haven't. Robert, I think you definitely like horror movies that I haven't seen, and that's just a personal thing. Like, I'm not against these. I just haven't gotten around to them. I know it Sam Raimi, who did the Spider-Man trilogy, did Evil Dead. So I'm definitely not opposed to watching it. It's just not something that I usually think of when I'm going to sit down and watch a movie. But if you guys want to see me like watch Evil Dead, like, I'll totally do it. Just let me know. How old were you when you saw your first R-rated movie? I was probably like on TV. I watched them all the time, but I remember watching what was it? It was Glory, the movie with Matthew Broderick. I was like 12 maybe, or 11. I don't know. I've watched a lot of R-rated movies like on TV before that, but full on R-rated probably like between 10 to 12. Favorite anti-hero character in a TV show besides Walter White? Great question, because that was going to be my answer. But I would have to say Marty Beak. Is that his name? I want to totally, hold on, let me look that up. From Ozark. Marty from Ozark. He's kind of an anti-hero because he's doing some shady stuff with like the cartel. But it's Marty Bird, by the way. I don't know why I said Beak. Marty Bird from Ozark. Phenomenal show. So I'll go with him. But also the main guy from the show is a great character. Who's worst actor who's cast in a big franchise? Probably it's a great question. I'll go with the person who plays Rose. Nothing against her. I don't think she's that great, and her character in The Last Jedi was kind of irritating. It's on Prime. Definitely check it out. I'll add it to the list. Thank you for letting me know. So Cap or Iron Man? Iron Man all day, dude. I think he has the greatest arc in the MCU. He goes from being the selfish, cocky person in the beginning to the selfless person who saves the world in the end. And he gets to have his moments with Pepper. He gets to have a daughter. He gets to live his life for a few years before he puts it on the line for the world. And then with Cap, though, you get the reversal of that. He goes from selfless to selfish, and it's just masterful writing. The MCU stuck the landing, man. They really did. And thank you for commenting, Andy. Good choice avoiding Holmes and Watson. I'm a non-hardcore movie fan you just described, and it sucked. Huge letdown. I was actually thinking of you because I remember you told me that you didn't like it, and I know that you usually like comedy movies, but you said it was bad, so I just stayed away from it. What's the video you spent the most time making? I did a collab with well, that's different because it's just a Skype call. So I'll probably say our top 10 movies of 2019. Anytime you have two people doing a top 10 video, it's going to take a lot of time to edit because you want to make it look the best you can. But also you have 20 movies. And then if you throw in honorable mentions, like 25 to 30 movies to talk about. So that's just going to take more time. Andy, Georgia's 2020 prediction. He's referring to Georgia football, by the way, guys. Huge Georgia football fan. 2020 record prediction. I'll be completely honest. We're going to lose to Alabama in week 3. There's nothing they can do to escape it. We are cursed. We cannot defeat the Alabama Crimson Tide. Sorry to be the negative one here, but it's the truth. So if they can get back from that, most likely a blowout, by the way. I'm being truthful here, and also don't want to set my expectations too high because I've been let down a lot. If they'll probably bounce back, go 11-1. I think they'll beat Florida. It's Florida. I mean, Dan Mullen's a bum, but we could go into that another time. But I'd say 11-1. Maybe they'll win the SEC, maybe not. Who knows? I really hope there's a season. I meant Avengers 5. Yeah, I don't think I want to see Taika do like. If you're talking about Taika, I don't want to see him do a huge ensemble movie like that. I'd rather see someone who's proven to handle like the huge cast. So maybe the Russos come back, maybe not. What movie should have been PG-13 and not R? Safe House, a movie with Ryan Reynolds and Denzel Washington. There's like nothing wrong with it. Just cut out a few F-bombs and like you're totally fine. The Matrix feels like except for like 2 scenes with a little bit of violence. I think there might be a few F-bombs. Yeah, it feels like a PG-13 movie. Favorite Nickelodeon cartoon as a kid? That's tough. I liked Jimmy Neutron a lot. I liked Fairly Odd Parents, kind of freaked me out a little bit, but favorite Nickelodeon cartoon as a kid. SpongeBob's a classic one. I actually do remember watching that a lot back in the day. It was a great show. The movie, like with Goofy Goober, what a sequence. Really chilling in a way. Fernando Linares, is there a specific actor or actress you'd like to see enter the MCU? Mine's Krasinski or Emily Blunt, power couple. I actually touched on this earlier, Fernando, and I completely agree with you. Throw him in there. Bring back, what's his name? Whoever played the Thing in the original Fantastic Four, bring him back, and then I would love to see Chris Evans in some weird way, like recast as the Human Torch, because that would just be so cool. But I don't know if it's gonna happen. Ryan McDaniel, favorite Ford film besides Parasite. So yeah, Parasite's everyone's go-to answer for sure, and it's a really good movie. That's also just a tough question because I'm not like the biggest expert on foreign film. I've seen like French films and stuff like that. It's not Roma, by the way, but off the top of my head, I'll just say, let me think. I'll go with Sight Unseen. Sight Unseen means I haven't seen this movie. Anything Akira Kurosawa, I feel like will be for me, but actually, a Hitchcock technically makes foreign films, some foreign films. So I could go with the Hitchcock movie, but I guess what's it called? Chungking Express is pretty good by Wong Kar-wai. It's a pretty good movie. I've seen it. People say that Spider-Man is the next Iron Man, but for me, I think Doctor Strange will take the Iron Man role in the MCU. Spidey might take the Captain America role, or hopefully just do his own thing. I think that Spider-Man is going to be a side character. I don't know if he'll be the next Iron Man. They set him up like that in Far From Home for sure. I don't know. Doctor Strange, I don't think he'll be the main one. I think Black Panther would be the main one over him. Klug, Newman is going to torch Bama and we will finally beat them. Score prediction in Jacksonville. So yeah, I don't know. That's really tough. Is Newman going to torch Bama? I don't know. We'll see. It's really far off, but score prediction in Jacksonville right now, I'd say sight unseen. Haven't seen anyone play. I would go based on recent years. I would go 31-21 Georgia because our defense is returning a lot of studs. What makes you think we can't beat them? We won in Tuscaloosa in 07. Considering the fact that Mac Jones is really good and the fact that we're going to Alabama and we haven't won a true West road. Well, we did beat Auburn. I take that back, but Georgia's track record when it comes to like true road West games is not the best. And I mean, if I'm being honest here, as a true Georgia fan, I look at our schedule. I'm like, I want to go 12-0 so bad, but I know we're going to lose a game. It happens every year. So I'm just going to circle that one. I'm going to accept it. If we win, that's awesome. But that's just why right now. Have you seen Max Talks movies? Thanks for the questions, man. Have you seen Batman: The Dark Knight Returns? I watched it on HBO Max the other day, and it's one of my new favorite Batman movies besides the Dark Knight trilogy. I have not. I've heard fantastic things about all the animated Batman stuff, though. So I probably should get on that train because, I mean, I love Batman. I really do. He's a great character. So if you claim that it's that good, I might actually look into it. Worst trilogy you've seen all 3 movies of? Haven't seen the other 2 Matrix movies. I know that trilogy gets a lot of flack. I'm going to look up trilogies real quick. And I'll just think of some. Movie that needs a sequel. 22 Jump Street needs a sequel, even though 21's the original, 22. We need a 23 Jump Street. What are they doing? That would make so much money. I don't get it. But Inside Out, I would love to see an Inside Out sequel. Pixar does sequels, so I'm sure we'll get one down the road. But I would go with that. Max Talks movies. Have you seen Dredd? It's a great action film. I have not seen Dredd, but I hear that it was so mismarketed that like it flopped at the box office. I hear that it's a really solid action movie though, so I might have to watch that. Max. Ryan McDaniel, thoughts on Disturbia 2007? I absolutely love Shia LaBeouf. We actually watched this movie, I remember, together. But it's kind of laughably like it's trying to be like this thriller, like a Rear Window style movie, but it's laughably like not that. It's so goofy, and like I remember how cheesy it was, certain aspects, especially towards the end, and the dialogue was just cringy. Something happens in like the opening 5 minutes that's absolutely absurd. So those are my thoughts on Disturbia. I might rewatch it one day. Who knows? Max Talks movies. Have you seen Catch Me If You Can? I feel like without that film, Leo's performance in The Wolf of Wall Street wouldn't be as good. Yeah, Catch Me If You Can. I have it right here on Blu-ray. It's a really great movie. And harkening back to one of Klug's questions, first time I saw this movie was in class, in a forensics class. They showed Catch Me If You Can. Very intriguing that it's based on a true story, and one of Steven Spielberg's most underrated movies, I'd say. Not like most people don't have it up there as one of the best when you could clearly make an argument that it is. I would agree though that that role kind of like a precursor to his role as Jordan Belfort in a weird way, like in a parallel universe kind of way. I'm going to take a sip of water here because I'm talking a lot, but keep dropping the questions, guys. Usually I have someone else on here to like talk so I can take a sip of water, but true or false? The Percy Jackson books had potential to be an amazing movie series and they screwed up big time. I'll go in the middle because I think that series of books has the potential to be fantastic. And I mean, like, I know they're going to adapt it into something on Disney Plus, I think. But the reason I'm in the middle is I actually liked the Lightning Thief movie. Granted, very, very different from the book. I'll admit that because I've read the book, the first book at least. So I've seen that first movie probably like 5 times. I really enjoyed it. Haven't seen it in years, but I did enjoy it. Sea of Monsters, though, was a borderline atrocity. Like, it was a really bad movie, and the CGI didn't help that at all. I read part of that book, but based on like everyone's opinions of that series, as well as like just the fact that it was like 5. I think the Percy Jackson series was 5 books, and they made like spin-offs of it. All by Rick Riordan, I think, was the author. It shows there's a ton of potential there. Favorite Scorsese movie? The Departed. Absolutely floored the first time I watched this movie. I loved it. I didn't see a lot of the stuff coming. I think that it has one of the best ensembles ever. I really do think, and I'm not kidding here, I think Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Matt Damon all should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress. And it's weird that Wahlberg was the only one to get nominated. And that's probably because Leo didn't get nominated because he was already nominated in lead for Blood Diamond, which came out the same year. By the way, just a little interesting fact. Worst TV season of a good show? Game of Thrones season 8. And I feel like this is just too easy of an answer, but I've never seen showrunners drop the ball that bad. They had everything set up in front of them. They had the hype of the entire world up, and I still can't get over this, man. I was so pumped. I watched Game of Thrones. I rewatched I watched it all for the first time, like in 2017, I want to say. Then I rewatched it again leading up to this series, and I watched like certain seasons and episodes like for a third time. I was hyped out of my mind, and they just completely dropped the ball. I have no clue what Benioff and Weiss were thinking. It was insanely rushed. I just don't see why you would do that to such a cultural icon of a show. It's just kind of disrespectful, honestly, and it taints the legacy in a way. So I'll go with Game of Thrones season 8. Max talks movies. Favorite snacks to have at the movies. So the best combo is you get a large popcorn. You add a little bit of butter, not too much. You don't want it to get soggy. Then if the popcorn's hot, you get some Reese's Pieces or M&Ms, and you pour some in the popcorn, and then you shake it around a little and get in the bottom. Then you keep doing that so there's some in the middle, some on the top. Let the chocolate inside the M&Ms or the peanut butter melt in the Reese's Pieces. Chef's kiss. It is insane. And then you throw in like a white cherry slushy on the side. That you're in for a show there. But I usually don't like to get snacks for like huge movies that I really want to pay attention to. Just because like I'll feel like I have to inhale my snack before the movie starts, which isn't good. And then it'll get cold during the movie. So like if it's a movie that I'm not crazy pumped for, like I'll get a snack usually. Jake A, Goodfellas is my favorite Scorsese. Yeah. Can't go wrong there. I think it's in my top 3 or top 4, probably like number 4. I love The Wolf of Wall Street and Taxi Driver a lot. So there's no more new questions right now. So I'm going to answer a few more that Trevor put in. Actually, hold on. Max talks movies. If you could make a Star Wars movie or show, what would it be? I would definitely go before the prequels. I would like to see the origins of stuff. I like history. So I think it would be cool to get some more history on the origin of the Jedi and stuff like that. I know the video game Jedi Fallen Order was like after Return of the Jedi, I want to say. I could be completely wrong. It's been a while since I've played it. But that story, if that was made into a movie, it would be phenomenal. So Trevor from Film Geeks was originally going to join me. So I'm going to answer a few of his questions that I didn't get around to. What is a movie you love that most people hate? Sahara with Matthew McConaughey came out in 2005, I want to say. And it gets hated by the critics. A lot of people don't like it, but it's kind of like an Indiana Jones adventure, but it's got Matthew McConaughey in it. So I'd have to go with that. It's really fun. And let's see, one more from Trevor here, and then I'll be done with Trevor's questions. You have an all expenses paid trip to San Diego Comic-Con or to the Georgia versus Florida game. Which do you choose? So I don't really care for Comic-Con. And I know that's crazy to a lot of people, but like the new trailers I can just watch online. You get a little bit of exclusive footage, but I know there's a ton of people there and like the crowd and stuff. And for the Georgia Florida game, if I had free tickets, free hotel, like free everything, that would just be so much fun because I'm going to go anyway. So I'm going to go to that game most likely every year anyway. So like if it's all paid for, I get some extra money that I might, if I wanted to go to Comic-Con, maybe I could pocket it for that. So yeah, I'd go with that. Thanks for your questions, Trevor. And I know you're going to listen to the replay. So really appreciate it, man. If you guys are still watching, you can keep the questions coming in. I'll probably go for like 20 more minutes maybe. So if there's no more questions, I'll just call it early. No big deal. But yeah, just keep them coming. Comments from Max Talks Movies. Here we go. If you could, okay, we already answered that one. Do you have issues with The Dark Knight Rises? And if so, what are they? No, I don't have issues with The Dark Knight Rises, really. I think that trilogy is kind of perfect. If I have any issues, it's the way that Bane and is her name Miranda Tate or I forget her name, Ra's al Ghul's daughter. The way they're handled in the end, I don't know if it's the best, but I do love the ending. Despite you could argue there's some plot holes, it's still really solid, I think. Max Talks Movies. Most overrated performance in a movie. Rami Malek in Bohemian Rhapsody. Yes. Does he look like Freddie Mercury? For sure. Did he basically copy his every maneuver and create Freddie Mercury on screen? Definitely. Do I think that it's a great performance? No. I don't even think that he should have gotten nominated for an Oscar, if I'm being honest. Okay, maybe not. He could have gotten the nomination, but the win is what really drives me crazy. Because if you compare his performance to Taron Egerton's in Rocketman, it's almost blasphemous that Taron Egerton did not get nominated because he was better. He did his own singing. Rami Malek was lip syncing. So all around, I don't know what was going on with the Academy there. Like it just seemed so off to me in a way. Like I don't understand. So that's what I would go with. Rami Malek. No disrespect to the man at all. I just think the performance in the movie are overrated. Matt Klug, if you could direct a movie, what genre would it be? I would love to direct a comedy movie. I think that I like to think I'm pretty funny with my friends and the things I say. So I'd probably go with comedy. I also think comedy is the easiest based on what I've learned in like a class I took. And just from what I've seen, it's the easiest way to like tell a story, because a drama, it's hard to convey sometimes if you don't get a lot of length and action. If you're restricted, like if you're restricted, coming of age or comedy is what I would go with. If you're restricted on like a budget level. Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies, thoughts. Roderick Rules is awesome. I haven't seen these, but I have read like the first 5 or 6 books, I want to say. The last one I read was like, let's see, there was Diary of a Wimpy Kid, there was Roderick Rules, there was The Last Straw, I want to say. There was a few more, so that's what I would say. I haven't seen the movies. Maybe I'll watch them one day. I think they like did a reboot or something like that. I have no clue. It's a very interesting franchise. Most underrated special effects in a movie. Underrated special effects in a movie. I know everyone praises Endgame and Infinity War, but why did they not win the Oscars? You know, like they're visually stunning movies. I don't know why 1917 won Best Visuals over Endgame. That's a conversation for another time. But anyway, that's that. Ryan McDaniel, how much better would American Beauty have been if it wasn't so pretentious? Oh man, yeah. People love to call that movie pretentious, don't they? But American Beauty, I know it's taboo to talk about Kevin Spacey. One of the best performances I've ever seen. Genuinely so good. And that's kind of like a dark comedy as well. It has like those funny moments that aren't funny. But yeah, I mean, come on. The scene where, what's his name? I'm going to look up his name so I don't mess it up. The guy from the Hunger Games. I'll know his name right when I see it. I want to say it's Wesley. I definitely could be wrong, though. American Beauty. Hold on. There's a scene where his character is looking at a bag drifting in the wind. It's Ricky Fitz. That's his name. Ricky Fitz. People call that pretentious and like, come on, like you must not have seen The Lighthouse. What Max talks movies? What actor would you like to work with? I think it'd be so cool to work with any of the Chris's, Chris Evans or Chris Hemsworth, because like they just seem like super cool guys. What should I watch tonight? Before Sunset or Baby Driver? Haven't seen the Before trilogy, so I cannot speak to that. But what I can say is if you've seen or Baby Driver, it's extremely stylized. It's an Edgar Wright movie who I haven't seen much of his other stuff, but Baby Driver is a really good movie. I think it's super rewatchable. Great soundtrack. It kind of goes to what's happening in the movie. There's some shocking twists in there too, and it's got a nice little romance to it. So you kind of get everything with Baby Driver. So I would go with Baby Driver. And if you do watch it, let me know your thoughts. I'd be interested. You can message me on Instagram. Movie files. Pick one for each category to make a movie. Director, lead actor, lead actress, writer, cinematographer, composer, producer, and studio. So if I want to make the best movie possible, according to my preferences, I would go, you're going to have Tarantino directing it. You're going to have Leo starring. You're going to have, we'll throw Scarlett Johansson in there for lead actress. Who's going to write the movie? I'll go, well, I could say Tarantino as well if I wanted to. So I'll cheat and say Tarantino as well. You know what? I'm going to switch this up real quick. I want to see a Christopher Nolan movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Scarlett Johansson, written by Quentin Tarantino. So you have the huge scale of Nolan with the creative writing of Tarantino. I want what's his name? Come on. Roger Deakins to be the cinematographer, Hans Zimmer to be the composer, produced by Jason Blum. So this is going to be literally an insane movie, and put out by Warner Bros. Why not? What video that you've got made the most dislikes? I think my complete Blu-ray collection has like 4 something dislikes, which is fine. Like, I genuinely don't dislike videos on YouTube. I just, unless like it's something I disagree with to the core, and it's like something that's conveyed inappropriately. I don't see the use in it. I think it's kind of trolling to dislike, but that's just my opinion. Favorite Kevin Spacey performances? American Beauty and The Usual Suspects are the obvious picks, but you should see the movie K-Pax with Jeff Bridges and him. He's like an alien. Extremely absurd movie. But yeah. Do you and Andy keep notes on your laptops for your reviews, or do you keep them there for production value? Do you and Andy keep notes on your laptops for your reviews? We don't really take notes. It's really just off the top of our head. We'll have like a few key points, and obviously everyone kind of reads a description or synopsis of a movie before a review for like formatting purposes. But we have like some points we talk about before, but it's really just discussion based. We want to be authentic with that kind of stuff usually. TV reviews, it's a different story kind of, but movie for the most part, yeah, it's off the top of our head usually. Did you see Jumanji 2? Sorry, my nose is itching. I've been talking for like an hour and a half, so my nose is starting to itch. Did you see Jumanji: The Next Level? Thoughts? Loved Welcome to the Jungle in 2017. So yeah, I've seen the first Jumanji, obviously, with Robin Williams, and I've seen the first one with Dwayne Johnson. Really fun movie. Like, I didn't think I was going to like it, honestly, but I had a really fun time with it. And that's due to the cast. You have Jack Black, Kevin Hart, Karen Gillan, Dwayne Johnson, Nick Jonas is even in there. So it's a really fun movie. I haven't revisited it in a long time, but I never got to see the next level. I've heard mixed things. I've heard a lot of people really like it. I've heard some people say it's a rehash of the prior movie that came out in 2017. So it's really interesting. I do want to watch that movie eventually. I'm sure that if it comes to a streaming service, I will. It might be on like HBO or something like that. I need to check. Rank the seasons of Stranger Things. Okay, so season 2 is the worst season of Stranger Things, and that one episode alone where like it's just completely like off topic and like unrelated to our main characters, basically a test to see if they should set up a new series or not. That's the worst. Then I'd say season 1, which is one of the best seasons of television I've seen. I've seen that entire season 4 times. I love it. It's so classic and really nostalgic for the 80s. But season 3 just hits different. The storylines are at a peak. The stakes are higher. It's just the characters have been developed so you know them well. And the story involving the Russians is very, very exciting and well done. And like I said, it's more grand in scale. So I'd go with season 3. So my rank would be from best to worst would be season 3, season 1, season 2. That's Psycho Reviewer. What do you think Black Widow will set up when it comes to the new MCU phases? Because I really don't think it's just a random one. I think that there's going to be an after credit scene that changes the game, or I think that either Florence Pugh or David Harbour's character will like appear in the later MCU movies. But definitely the passing of the mantle of Black Widow could possibly be an idea or subject that comes up there. So yeah, I'm excited to see that. Also, if you guys have just joined or watching, definitely consider liking, subscribing if you haven't, and keep the questions coming. I'll go for like 10 or 15 more minutes probably, or until the questions are out. When did you get into cinema? I've always loved movies. I think a lot of people have since they were kids, but this is always my go-to answer because it's true. When I was introduced to the original trilogy of Star Wars movies, I watched those on a loop. I literally had all the toys. I set them up as the movie scenes progressed because I really just love those movies so much. But I would say that, but like, as far as like seriously getting into movies, like in high school, I started watching like more classic movies. I had always watched like The Godfather with my dad and stuff like that, but I started branching out and watching movies like even more recently, like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and stuff like that. It's a really great movie from the 70s, and like pre-1980 stuff is what I really started to get into. Tarantino really opened that door for me. Nolan always I've been intrigued by his filmmaking. So like those two were like peak, but then like Fincher, even I had a Fincher kick like 2 years ago, I want to say, where I watched like most of his movies. He's really great. I think that my love for it continues to grow and like evolve in a way as I experience and explore new genres. Yeah, from favorite to least favorite, 1 through 2. Fair, yeah. We just have 3 and 1 switched, I think. Thoughts on 13 Reasons Why? Never saw it. I know that a lot of people have talked about it. It's like it's become like this huge thing that everyone talks about, but I heard it was like really cringy in a way and deals with some touchy like themes. So I've never really got into it. I don't know if it's my cup of tea or not, but I may get into it eventually. Who knows? You might have to text me on that one individually and let me know your thoughts on it. Longest movie I've ever seen, Lawrence of Arabia. I believe that thing clocked in like 3 hours and 48 minutes. And it's an undeniable classic, but like 3 hours and 48 minutes of anything is just going to get a little too long. And that happened there. That was the case there. It's still a great movie, but yeah. Favorite short film? I watched a lot for a class I had to take recently, but Pixar put out one called Pearl, and that one's pretty cute. I like that one. What things must a movie have in order to qualify it as a thriller? A thriller, I think that it has to have like I really just think that it has to create suspense. That's what it has to do. And sure, like an action movie does that, but I think that there have to be like serious stakes, usually involving like death or like threat at a national level. I mean, in an instance, like the security of someone is on the line, and someone has to escape a terrifying situation in a way, or someone has to figure something out like by a certain timeline. I think that's what usually qualifies a movie as a thriller, in my opinion. That's at least my 2 cents. Yeah, I can't wait for Stranger Things 4 either. My TV just turned on. I have no clue what just happened. That was weird. All right, glad to see you're back, Certain Vids. Yeah, we're still going strong with 12 people in the chat. Nick, thank you for joining, man. I don't think I've ever seen you in here before, but you've got some great stuff. I know you've been a longtime friend of Nathan Hale, and that's really cool. We got to do a collab recently, so glad to see you in the chat, man. First season was solid. Everything seemed forced. Yeah, that's 13 Reasons Why is one that I'll have to dig into maybe. But between the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, which one do you prefer? For me, 1 is definitely better film, but 2 is super entertaining. I prefer the first one, and I know you really like the second one, Certain. And I know, I think Jaron Talks Movies and Griffin Schiller, big fans of the Amazing Spider-Man 2. And no disrespect there, obviously. I just think that movie is convoluted with the unnecessary the whole Green Goblin thing that tried to give me a seizure in the theaters. The flashing lights bothered me so much. And all that stuff was annoying, but that end, it finishes super strong. I will admit that. And that's the high point of the movie for sure. No spoilers, but the stuff with Gwen Stacy breaks your heart. Are Jaws and Jurassic Park horror movies? By definition, I think that Jaws is a horror movie, because if you count any monster movie as a horror movie, essentially Halloween is the same thing as Jaws in a way. And listen to me. There's a man who's killing people. Simple as that. Sure, he might have an outside force that's, possessing him or something, but Jaws is a monster that's killing people, this long shark. So, it's got horrific elements, but I don't know if it's a straight up horror movie in the sense of Insidious or The Conjuring. So that's my answer. Have you watched Outer Banks yet? If so, thoughts on it? No, I've seen clips of it on Twitter, and the dialogue looks so cringy. It literally, I don't know how I could get into it. Maybe I'll watch it though. If you guys would want to see that, maybe I will watch it. Yeah. Memento is my favorite thriller. That's a really mind-boggling movie to say the least. It's not one of my favorite Nolan movies, but the way he pulled that off is insane. Have you seen Kobe's short film Dear Basketball that he won an Oscar for? It's so touching. Yes, I have. Very, very heartwarming. Very sad. Rest in peace. He's a legend, and I'm so happy that he won an Oscar. It's just super cool to me. He was such a great guy. Sad to see him gone. Favorite action hero? Superheroes don't count. So if you're saying action star in a movie, not the actual actor, but a star from a movie, that's a great question. Not superhero. I would have to say Jason Bourne. I really like him, and I think that first trilogy is awesome, and him trying to figure out himself is really cool. Moment that made a good movie turn bad. That's another really good question. A good movie turned bad. So I guess the movie was good before the bad thing happened. So The Rise of Skywalker was good when the opening crawl came on, and then the movie started and it turned bad because the Emperor was back for some reason, and it montaged through 1,000 different planets. Yeah, I don't like that movie, guys. So take it easy on me, but that's what I would say. Klug, I haven't gotten into Outer Banks yet. Her task reviews, good to see you here, man. Glad you could join. Better late than never, and you can always catch the replay. Glad I hopped in. What are some blues you're eyeing? I need to pick up Alien and Aliens. I know you have this really cool edition of Alien. I think it's the 35th anniversary edition, I want to say. I might look into that because I want to get slipcovers for those movies because I think they deserve slipcovers. And the regular 4K, even if it's on sale for Alien, it doesn't have the slipcover. So yeah. If Alien is a horror movie, then so is Jaws. I didn't even think of that. That's a great point. You make a really good point there. Yeah. Very similar in a way. I think that the score is just a little more terrifying in Alien, and the setting is isolated. So in space, no one can hear you scream acts as the motto for that movie. So I definitely would agree that Alien's a horror movie. So I'd say, yeah, Jaws is a horror movie by definition. Nick, I saw your collab with Nate. I would love to collab with you someday, man. I love your stuff, and I think we could make something interesting for sure. Yeah. Easiest way to get a hold of me is just Instagram Filmstocked. You can message me, and I'd be down to do that for sure. I love collabing. It's a ton of fun. Getting different point of views on the channel and just meeting new people. It's been a blast so far. So definitely, man, I'd be down. What is the goriest movie that you've ever seen? I can't think of one off the top of my head. But I'd probably say it's not even Saving Private Ryan. I recently watched that one, and that was a brutal movie. It had a lot of gore in it, but it's not a movie about gore. It's not one of the later Saw movies or something like that. Have you watched Black Mirror? Heard some crazy stuff, but never watched it. I haven't seen Black Mirror yet. I think I heard Bandersnatch, like the Netflix movie, was crazy because it was like the first time you could like pick the story yourself. So that's insane. But I've seen one episode with Anthony Mackie. It was super weird. Like it was about virtual reality. Very weird episode. So I don't know if I could get into that show. I think the earlier seasons I've heard are like really good TV. So I might one day. Do you like Spider-Man 3? Yes, I like Spider-Man 3. You heard it here first. I really enjoy that whole trilogy, and I enjoy Spider-Man 3. I think that it's a little too long. There's clearly some studio interference, but I can look past a lot of the issues I had, probably because I watched the movie for the first time when I was like, I was 10 years old maybe, and I think that it's a fitting conclusion to the trilogy. Would I have liked to see Spider-Man 4? For sure. But I do like the movie. I think that the people who really hate the movie, I think, were probably ones that were able to see Spider-Man 1 and 2 in theaters. So they had to wait during that gap, and they had heard all these rumors and all this stuff. So they were tracking it, and they had these massive expectations. So it's kind of like probably how we feel if you don't like the sequel trilogy about the sequel trilogy, because that's probably how, like, it kind of just makes sense in that way. I don't know if I'm wording it right or not, but I was disappointed by The Last Jedi, but a lot of people like it. I don't know. It's kind of similar, maybe. Certain vids, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 perfectly captures what Spider-Man means to the people of New York. Like you said, everything following that scene, yep, up until the end is honestly some of the best I've seen in Spider Film. Hey, maybe I need to rewatch it. You know, it's been a few years since I've seen it. I don't really care for the ending. I think it's on like a plane, and it's with Spidey's dad, I want to say, before he passes away. But maybe I'll rewatch it soon, and I'll do like a retrospective video on the Amazing Spider-Man movies or something. Best movie theater you've been to? My go-to theater is like AMC Colonial 18. They have these nice recliner chairs, and like I usually see movies there on opening day. It's been my go-to for a while, at least for me anyway. Certain that's fair. Whose YouTube channel do you enjoy most? Nate's or mine? I won't tell him. Don't worry. I'm not going to answer that question, dude. No, I've watched Nate for so long though. So like even before I had Film Stocked, and it was just my name and my YouTube channel, like I always watched Nate stuff. I think that he has like a ton of energy, and he's a really great YouTuber, and I like his Criterion stuff. But Nick, I think your stuff's great too. I liked that one live stream, I think, where you said you wanted to change it up and not do like just basic movie reviews. I completely agree. I like how that Lord of the Rings video was great, and stuff like that's really good. So you're doing great on YouTube, man. Keep it up. And yeah, I would definitely be willing to do a collab sometime. So just let me know. Spider-Man 3 is dumb fun for sure. For sure. This might have been asked, but do you like Baby Driver? I love Baby Driver. I saw it opening day in theaters, and I've seen it probably like 6 or 7 times. Anytime it's on TV, I throw that bad boy on because it's such a good movie. If Robert Correa, is this actually Robert Correa, or is this someone I know that is disguised as Robert Correa? Because I think I might. I don't know. I don't know. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I apologize. But yeah, Apocalypse Now was trimmed down a bit. Do you think you would enjoy it more? Yes, I do. I think the movie has a lot of long takes that are unnecessary. And yes, the argument, of course, is there that it's used to convey someone losing their mind in Vietnam and kind of act as like a metaphor for the war in a way. But I think it's just a little too long. If they streamline the plot a little bit, I think that I would have gotten more out of it. Fun fact, I have seen Spider-Man 3 over 200 times. If true, that's absolutely insane, and I applaud you for it. Have you watched Avatar: The Last Airbender? Yeah, I actually answered this earlier. I have seen it. I have watched it when it aired. Are you a fan of studio movie grill concept? It really does depend, because it can be distracting. I don't like how like I saw Thor Ragnarok at one of these theaters, and like the movie started, and like people next to me were getting food, and like people kept walking in and out, and I already like am kind of paranoid at the movie theaters when people like keep walking in and out. So I'm always like looking, like whenever someone gets into the bathroom, like it catches the corner of my eye, so it draws my attention off the screen. So that adds another element to it that's really just kind of distracting. So I do like the food though, like the potato skins at a Studio Movie Grill, they smack. They're really good. But like the concept, I don't know. I wish there was a better way to do it, like some futuristic thing where like your food like came up in a tube up to you. Really like absurd concept, but I would like to see that. Thanks for joining that Psycho Reviewer. Totally understandable. I'll probably wrap it up in like the next few minutes here anyway. Fellowship, Return of the King all day. It's one of the best movies ever made. It's not like one I rewatch all the time, but I think it was my favorite of the trilogy. Like I said, if a conclusion is well done, then it's going to be the best for me, and I love that. Favorite film score besides Star Wars. I think that I have a playlist on my phone. Let me pull that up real quick. Pirates of the Caribbean has one of the most iconic scores of all time, hands down. Anything Hans Zimmer does, so Interstellar and Inception are two of his best, I'd say. I listen to those all the time. They're really like, if you need to get some work done, throw on that playlist. You can get some good stuff done. Let's see, what else do I have here? Man of Steel has a phenomenal soundtrack, and I listen to that when I work out or go for a run, and I'll like start sprinting or like just going really hard. It's good. Alan Silvestri for the Marvel movies, as well as Forrest Gump and Back to the Future. Indiana Jones, Jaws, Gonna Fly Now by Bill Conti. That's the Rocky song. All those are great, but Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross for Social Network and Mid-90s and Gone Girl. Very, very, very underrated composers working today. I think they changed the game for the movie score industry in a way. Like, I think they have a really unique way, and that almost adds another element. So I'd go with those. Thoughts on movie theaters opening as early as July? I think that it should be done because people are slowly starting to get back out into society, and in certain areas, at least, like it's becoming more and more clear every day. So I think that if it's an area where like it's safe to do so, then I think they should open up. But it's going to be tough because I know that in California they're being like very strict on it, which is kind of understandable, I guess, in LA. But like LA is a city that like huge for movies, and if the theaters aren't open there, or in like New York City, but they're open everywhere else, I don't know how new releases could start coming out in July. Like Tenet is scheduled to come out July 17th, I think, still. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I want to see Tenet in theaters in July. I would totally go right now. Like I would go today. So those are just my thoughts. I hope that things can start to get back to normal soon. Max Talks Movies. I know you gave your thoughts in a movie you missed update, but thoughts on Titanic. I'm planning on watching it soon for the first time on HBO Max. So I really did not want to watch this movie for the longest time. I thought that it looks kind of stupid and goofy and like laughably weird in that last act, but I sat down and watched it from beginning to end, and I was locked in for like 3 hours and 15 minutes. That whole runtime I was locked in. And Leo's performance is great. I think he should have probably got nominated for an Oscar. I don't know, but Kate Winslet's really great, and James Cameron can totally tackle like large scale things. We've seen him do this before in Aliens and T2. He'd already done those, and then he does Titanic, and it wins Best Picture. I mean, it's one of the classic movies everyone should see. I hadn't seen it until this year, so like I'm right there with you. You should probably watch it. I'm fresh on it, but yeah, I definitely recommend watching it. It's one everyone should see at least once in their life. If you guys are still watching, thank you so much for sticking around. I'm probably going to wrap it up here in the next like 3 minutes, probably. I'll go 3 more minutes. So if you have any last minute questions, definitely drop them down below. Certain vids, favorite film theme to work out to. Rocky gets me so pumped. Dude, Rocky for the longest time gets me so pumped. And Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. Let me fact check that real quick. Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. Yeah, that is a great song that I listen to all the time when I work out too. Even though it's not, it is Survivor. It's not a score, but it's great, and it's like kind of the Rocky 3 theme. But Man of Steel for sure. Like Flight, I think it is, like gets me so pumped. It's in a lot of hype videos too. Are you excited for Dune? Heck yeah, I'm excited for Dune. Timothée Chalamet, Javier Bardem, Josh Brolin, Oscar Isaac, and many more in a star-studded cast. And it's Denis Villeneuve who directed Prisoners, one of the great movies of the last decade that everyone should see. It's criminally underrated. I highly recommend checking that one out if you haven't, guys. I'm going to answer, the last thing I'll take is movie files. So a few more questions here, guys. Thank you so much for sticking around. But certain vids, have you heard that Christopher Nolan and Warner Bros. Are feeling optimistic about Tenet releasing in July 17th? Don't want to get too excited, though. I saw the link to that on Twitter today, and it got me really excited because I need that movie, man. I got to see it in IMAX on the biggest screen possible. And it's been so long since I've been to the movie theater for like an event movie like that. So I really, really am fingers crossed that it comes out, man. I recommend Max Talks Movies. I recommend watching the Blade Runner film soon. Watch the final cut for the first film. It's the definitive version of the film. I have heard that that's the best way to go about watching it. So I think that that's the way I'll go for sure. I plan on doing that soon, definitely. Yeah, I'll let you know when I watch it. Probably like DM you or something, and then you'll obviously see my Letterboxd review and my review on the 100 movies I missed. Hit up Chili soon, definitely. Yeah, I'll text you after this is over. Great Q&A, Chris. Thanks for answering my questions. Everybody stay safe. For sure, Elliot. Thank you so much for joining, man. I'm going to start checking out more of your content. Sorry I was absent for a while there. I don't know what happened, man. I got caught up in a bunch of stuff, so I apologize. And certain vids, it's been fun, man. Awesome stream. Our collab with Trev should be up soon, and I'll see you this Sunday. Sounds good, man. Yeah, looking forward to checking out that collab. That was a fun time. So I think that's going to be a wrap, guys, for all of the questions. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you want, you can follow me on Instagram at Filmstocked, Twitter at ChrisBowie15. It will pop up. The link to Filmstocked will be in the bio. As well as Letterboxd, you can look up Filmstocked. My name, Chris, will pop up. Chris Bowie. That's me, if you didn't know. And I'm going to be doing a collab with Nathan Jones on the channel soon, as well as Blu-ray hauls and other videos. So be on the lookout for all that stuff. Thank you all again so much for joining. Please consider subscribing if you haven't. And I plan to do these every week. So definitely stay tuned sometime next week for another Q&A. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe out there.